Ответ от нее не получил. Это решил написать непосредственно там.
Да.
Нашему.
Такое впечатление, что народ в эти дни решил поотдыхать.
А они вообще как-то странно. Думаю, если праздник, это знать.
О, Ибрагим появился.
Здравствуйте.
Ой. Morning.
Morning. Здравствуйте.
Как у вас дела? Все хорошо?
Да.
На работе?
Все отлично. У нас минус 30 градусов.
Минус 30. Это очень холодно.
30, да. Причем, знаете, как говорят, минус 30 по ощущениям, то есть чувствуется, минус 34. А снега столько, что у нас во дворе засыпало все машины, и мы даже не всегда знаем, где машины там стоят, какие сугробы, все в снегу. Ага, good morning.
Good morning.
I hope it is warmer at your place, is it?
Yeah. Here the weather is close. It is maybe plus 8, 10, 17, 15, like that. Fortunately, it's warm. It's very
unbelievable.
It is summer.
Yeah.
For us it is summer, yes, really. But
we have to loan some sunny weather to Russia.
I see. Well, 30 degrees is a little bit too cold. Okay, so thank you very much for the exhaustive information that you've sent. It was very informative. Now we have this general idea of what we are all together going to do. However, we have several questions. First of all, how many languages will every student learn? You mentioned 4 languages.
But there are several languages like Pashto, Uzbek, Dari.
Yes, every student, and English, yes?
Yeah, English is as a foreign language. They're foreign language, and their native language. Mostly the students who attend to our university, their native languages are Uzbek, Persian, or Farsi. Some of them are Pashto.
So the languages.
Yeah, they are able to speak.
The languages that you've marked. You've marked them as the third language, fourth language, but actually that's their native language.
Actually, yeah,
right?
They are
Persian
native language.
Well, both.
Most of our students.
And Uzbek is.
Most of our students speak in Dari.
Oh, I have problem. So, what will be the languages with which they will work as translators? Their mother native language and English, only 2 languages for reporting, right?
Right, yeah. I want to give some explanation about languages and the language which are famous in our schools. In our high schools, mostly students are taught by Farsi language, or Dari we call them. And they learn Uzbek and Pashto in society like their second or third language, but they are able to speak as a mutual. They learn from the society, from the people like that, but they don't have the literature or academic science of those languages. And that's why we have created those languages as a second or third in order to learn those languages scientifically. And mostly they are able to, yeah, they know the literature and scientific issues of Dari language or Farsi. They are able to speak fluently, and they know the grammar structures, they know the literature, the linguistic, and other aspects of those languages. Mostly we are trying to have the translation in Dari and English, like English into Dari and vice versa.
I see, okay. Speaking about scientific act of learning languages, do you have such subjects as lexicology, stylistics?
Yep, actually we have these languages in literature and humanities faculty. We have some language departments like Dari department, English department, Uzbek, Pashto, and so on. They are studying these subjects like lexicology and syntax, morphology, these subjects.
Well, I'm asking because, well, for learning these languages, of course, morphology and syntax are very important. But for translation, also, lexicology is very important. And stylistics for translation, but you know it, yes?
Yeah.
So it is, so you have some programs for these subjects, right?
Yep, we have. And unfortunately, we have not included these two languages in our transcript, which we already sent you. And I think it's better to have these languages among those languages which I already provided you.
I see. Okay. Do students have any course in basics of linguistics?
They study here in our university.
Unfortunately, we don't have such courses, such individual courses about linguistics, but they have only one subject in English department, and that subject generally debates about the structure, the history, and general issues of linguistics.
Okay, so probably when we come closer to such issues, we'll probably analyze the list of questions, problems that you discussed there and compare them with ours. Okay, good. The next question is, do you have any course in cross-cultural or intercultural communication?
No course. Unfortunately, we don't have such course at all in our literature faculty. And I can say in university we don't have such a subject like cultural cruises, like debates about culture. Unfortunately, we don't have this subject.
Okay. It's all right. It's just necessary to know. Of course, we'll speak about developing these course. You know perfectly well that cultural issues are very important for translation. You know it better than anybody else.
Yeah, because I did research your book. It was very interesting for me. It was actually some cultural words in my dissertation. It was very interesting.
Yes. Well, I don't know if you told your colleagues about it, but if I'll betray the secret, but Ibrahim has written a very interesting dissertation dealing with cultural issues in translation. And he wrote it using several languages and so actually several cultures. It was very interesting. Okay, now, do you have any questions about the subjects before we come to...
I think that you can ask all the questions. The subjects which we have mentioned, or we mentioned right now, are essential for training translators and interpreters. It would be quite reasonable to introduce them into the curriculum. So, but we'll speak about a bit later, I think, yeah?
Yes, I get this.
Right now, well, talking about the prospects of changing the curriculum or adapting it to the needs of translators training. Okay, so let's proceed.
Well, we've analyzed the distribution of hours in the plan that you've sent. There is a problem. Actually, you you allotted very many hours in the first semester. You said empty credits, right? Now I'm trying to find the chart. It disappeared suddenly, but it's okay. The thing is that start learning languages. Let's say, what is the level of to the university?
Sorry, we couldn't get your...
Proficient are they? Sorry?
Yeah, I think there's some problem with it.
Something is wrong with the sound, I see.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now it's okay.
Yes. What is the level of English with which the students come to the university? Are they proficient in English?
Unfortunately, they are beginners, and they have very primary knowledge of English language, and we can call they are freshmen.
Well, there's no sound. So, why unfortunately, it's just a fact, and but we must know it, right? Then there is no sense in beginning translation classes until they learn the languages. That is why our suggestion is to change the distribution of hours of credits. I don't know what's more convenient for you to speak in credits and hours. Anyway, to have as many language classes as possible during the first and second semesters. Only then we can start translation. Well, so we could probably begin speaking about theory of translation in the first year. We could speak about cross-cultural or intercultural communication there, but not looks like, well, if we concentrate the hours of language classes in the first and second semesters, we could probably start practical translation with the third semester. But it means moving classes up to the first 13. Will it be possible to do it?
Yeah, there are some standards and obligatory issues like Islamic studies. This is a subject that must be studied for all semesters according to ministry's law, and other languages like subjects like psychology, computer, sport. It's okay, we can move these subjects to third, fourth, fifth, whatever we want.
Well, in the evening.
But is it necessary? There are 7 empty credits in the first semester.
Yeah.
So you could use them for languages without even touching Islamic studies. Islamic studies, computer, and all these things that are obligatory, well, should not be touched. Let them be there. But these 7 credits that are empty and could be used for translation should better be used for languages.
Okay.
Well, you know that we also have some obligatory subjects, and we know that they should not be touched or moved or just anything. They should stay where they are.
Yeah.
Because probably, Islamic studies, this is something that only not by teachers of your department, they might be joint classes with other schools or so let's not touch them. But the 7 credits in the first year, in the first term, and 5 credits in the second could following years, and we could use them for translation. Will it be okay?
Yeah, okay.
Will you? Well, certainly it's up to you to decide how many and which languages. So the preference should be languages and general theoretical things like linguistic aspects, cross-cultural aspects, theory of translation.
Fine.
Better languages and languages.
Yeah. There is a question. Do you think these 7 credits in the first semester and 5 credits in the second semester is enough to learn the basics of language, or if we need more credits, we can move some of the subjects which are in curriculum to other semesters?
So the balance, the amount of credits for, but the distribution is different, yes? And the more practical classes of English you have in the first 2 semesters, the better. Because to translate, they have to be fluent in English. You cannot translate to or into or from the language which you don't speak. Sure. You know how difficult it was for you with Russian, yeah? Remember it? Well,
actually,
Andrei is quite a heroic person. He overcame all these difficulties. Okay,
actually, we should introduce only 3 new subjects at the initial stage of studies. I mean, the first and the second semesters. Well, I mean, general linguistics, or introduction to linguistics, translation theory, and theory of cross-cultural communication. I believe that 12 credits will be quite enough.
More than enough.
More than enough. Okay?
Well, for all of them. No, but this is a different aspect. We can actually have these subjects alongside with translation, but we need language, and language in the first 2 semesters. Then there are some other. Well, I hope you find this reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Reasonable and possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the next question is, what of translation do you want your students to study, to have? Well, we've decided that it should be interpreting and translation. So we start with written translation. Should it be technical translation or political translation or some commercial translation or business translation. So what aspects do you need?
Let us debate a little for this. Interpreting and translation. ولماذا؟ وأيضا وقت كي كنا تنظيم بلابس شو قسمات translation يعني قياس مثلا سياسي وسن تكنيكي وسن فني وموضوعات دیگر. نظام وش فنی ترجمه لا بهتر نوشتاری.
نوشتاری written translation زدی. آنکه کپی شغلانش بنا رقمات که interpreting.
من سمسرای بعدی interpreting وسیم میشه. Yeah. Technical written translation is okay because the political translation might be a little, we can say, bring some difficulties to our university or to society or to students maybe. But for the beginning, I think the technical translation might be a good idea.
Business translation, economic translation?
Business and economic, unfortunately, in a market, we don't have the usage of...
So this is just mainly the problem of markets, whether you need it for your market or not.
Well, it is strange enough. We mean to say that in the market there is no need for translating commercial correspondence, for example, business letters which companies address to each other.
You don't
mean to say there is no need for it?
There is need. We cannot say that a society doesn't need those things. They are in need actually. The general idea should be technical, and inside of that we should have economy and maybe we can say business translation.
Business correspondence.
Students should have idea and should get a knowledge of those translation inside of technical translation as well.
I see your idea. And one more question. Certainly in the course of mastering translation, students will need a period of professional training, practice, that is, work with some companies. How can it be arranged? Will you be able to find enterprises or companies where they could go for several, say, for 2 weeks and translate the materials, being supervised both by you and the enterprise? Will it be possible?
In this field, we have some plans. I myself has created a translation company here, translating company. And, they can refer to my translation company. Inside of, beside of that, we have some companies which are located in Mazar-e-Sharif, Kabul, and these provinces. We will try to have a agreement with those companies in order to send our students to have practical period, and as well, if it is possible, as you know, we have agreement with your university. We will try to send our students or have student exchanges for a week or 2 weeks to get the practical translation knowledge. Or we have also agreement with some universities in Uzbekistan. We will try to assign them to those universities. We have such plans in order to bring some facility for our students.
So by the time they are in their 3rd year, say, or 4th year, you'll have this arranged, right?
Yeah.
Of course, here we can hardly help. Of course, the combination of languages. We could easily help you now with Zoom and all these things. On the job, on the side training would be no problem, but I don't think we can find companies with Dari here.
Yeah, I know. But,
so this is
the basic knowledge would be fine for them. And I should remind one thing more. We have some contractions and agreements with online translating companies, and maybe we can have some like these webinars with them in order to practically train them how to translate or how to use these knowledge. Maybe we will find some ways on.
Translation companies can be helpful.
For them for some specialists to see the results of their work. Okay. Have you got any questions?
Well, have we discussed new issues concerning the curriculum? Well, we mentioned already the initial stage of the training, the first and the second semesters. Well, is that all we wanted to tell our colleagues?
I guess yes. I think now the next stage is for the colleagues to see how they can rearrange the distribution of classes and intensify language training in the first 2 semesters. For us to see, we can have 1 credit, that is a week, per week. This is for, say, theory of translation. 3 credits for all these subjects we are discussing will be enough. 1 lecture per week, right?
Yeah.
Well, 3 credits for each of the disciplines.
For
all 3 of them.
Well, all 3 of them. That means 1 lecture in linguistics, 1 lecture per week in the theory of translation, 1 lecture in cross-cultural communication. Do we need more than 1 lecture a week?
Well, I don't think so.
I don't think so. That's taken up by languages. Languages, and languages. You've no.
Well, and certainly some other disciplines which are compulsory in the curriculum.
We don't.
Regulations of the ministry.
Subjects.
We will not interfere into it, certainly.
All the obligatory subjects are sacred. We never touch them. Well, and then...
By the way, do you think we can make a draft of the curriculum, well, to make the task easier for our colleagues?
I guess first we should see how languages can be redistributed between the semesters, and then we can suggest our draft, certainly. But first we should see what credits, how many credits we'll have in which semester after the languages are moved up to the first 2 semesters.
Okay.
Ibrahim, have I explained it, or should I write it all?
It will be better to email those languages which we discussed today in order to add for first and second semester. Then I will add them and resend you.
Okay, after which we could actually start making a draft of the curriculum.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, have you got any questions to us?
According to first and second semester, we already discussed, and remaining semesters, do we have any other subjects, or will you add those necessary subjects, the draft?
Well, we'll add all the necessary, all the subjects that we think necessary. We'll add them as soon as we have this new distribution of the classes.
Well, but I think that the subjects will not be many.
No, but actually different aspects of translation also and interpreting will show where we think it reasonable to start interpreting and what types of interpreting probably we'll think about aspects of interpreting.
So
the question is whether it will be the 3rd year or the 4th year when interpreting.
Depending, such things depend on the level of English proficiency. Well, actually, the stage at which we can start all these things. It looks to me, I'm not sure, but it looks like Mrs. Mehzzab, am I right? Have I remembered your name correctly? That you have some questions.
No, I have no question. All questions answered by you.
Okay. By the way, you can easily communicate with me through Ibrahim, or you can take my address from him and write to me directly if you have questions or suggestions or anything. Well, of course, in some cases, probably, this direct communication will be easier. Though, with an intermediary like Ibrahim, it's also all right. Okay. If you have no more questions, and Vladimir Vitalich has no more suggestions?
No.
Though then we'll probably wish each other a good day.
And good health.
And we'll communicate through email. I'll write sum up all the points. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you, colleagues.
Well,
Wish
thank
you all the best. Good day and good health.
Very good to see you.
See you. See you.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Bye bye.